God, it's great to be back. It's great to talk about some lacrosse again, man. It's been way too long. I've been looking at this podcast again. Am I ever even gonna be able to come back to this? And fucking the PLL has not disappointed in the month of February. We'll go over some trades first, and then get into the expansion drafts coming up. Starting off, we have the Redwoods making a huge move, man. A really fucking big move. They got Rob Pennell from the Atlas for a number three in the entry draft and a 2022 second round college draft, which I think honestly is a fucking steal. I think that's a pretty fucking good move. So their attack is looking way stronger now. Next year, Jules Henningberg will be back. Rob Pennell will be back. Matt Kavanaugh will be back. Or Rob Pennell will join. Matt Kavanaugh, Reiner Gardziegel will be back. I wonder of those who is going to take the short end of the stick. I'm not sure if they're going to rotate. I would doubt it. That's usually not a position that you kind of rotate around at. I would like to see Henningberg, Cav, and Pennell and watch Guardsy sit for a little bit. I don't know. I like Guardsy as a player on my team, but I probably wouldn't like him if he was on my team. His attitude is cool. He's a good guy to kind of watch, but I just think that the ball gets stuck in his stick a little bit too often. And I would like to see Pennell. If it's gonna be stuck in anybody's stick, might as well be Rob Pennell, one of the best fucking players in lacrosse. They unprotected Clark Pedersen could potentially be back. There's a good amount of attackmen who are on the expansion draft picks, who are unprotected. So I would expect him to be back. Next, we have the Archers and Chaos. They did a one-for-one swap between Connor Fields and Ian McKay. Connor Fields last year did not play after, I think, the third game. I think he played the first three. Didn't really do too well. Came out. I believe they played Miles Thompson for the rest of the games. It's a tough situation for Connor Fields. There's a good amount of guys on that team in general who really stepped it up. Let's take a quick look at their roster. Their attackmen, Josh Byrne, absolutely ridiculous. Curtis Dixon had a hell of a fucking 2020 season. And Austin Big Body Stas, that's my fucking boy right there. He is a big body. They have guys like in the midfield who could come down and play, like Jake Fricaro. So they have a good amount of depth over there. Connor Field's kind of just like that odd man out. When you look at their midfield, it's not super deep. Dane Smith, obviously, a good Canadian guy. Sergio Salcido, decent guy. Mark Lucini, Jake Fricaro could play midfield if he needs to. But then adding that Ian McKay to the spot, I mean, that really helps out a lot. And then looking on the other side, as a team like the Atlas, I like the Archers, their midfield was pretty good. Christian Mazzone, Ryan Ambler, Tom Schreiber, Mark McNeil, Dominic Alexander. So you got guys on the defensive and offensive side of the ball. Their attack, you have Will Manny, Marcus Holman, Grant Ament. Maybe wasn't when you're looking at it, maybe not the first thing that you needed. Josh Curry and Joe Rusanke are unprotected on that team. But the addition of Connor Fields, Grant Ament, Will Manny or Marcus Holman and Connor Fields is just going to be ridiculous. If you have Connor Fields as a depth guy, your team's looking pretty good. If anyone won from that, it's huge for Chaos to gain a guy like Ian McKay because of their um, depth overall at at attack and at midfield. The already existing depth at attack and now the addition of depth at midfield. So I think they win it a little bit more than the Archers do, although I don't think either. I think it makes sense for both teams. Uh, but personally, I think I'd rather have Ian McKay than Connor Fields looking at the team situations. And then the last trade, the biggest trade in my opinion, Atlas going for the full rebuild. Paul Rabel and a number 6 in the entry draft for a number 9 in the entry, a number 8 in the college, and our first round 2022 in the college draft. The fucking Cannons LC get Paul Rabel. It's going to be something else, man, let me tell you. I did not expect that coming. I didn't expect the Atlas to just go full rebuild. So it looks like now they have Oh god, I don't even know what their draft picks look like at the moment, but they have a lot. I mean, number 3 in the entry, number 9 in the entry, their own in the entry. They traded their sixth for the 9. They traded their Pennell for the 3. So they move up and gain an early second rounder. They get an 8 in the college draft, so the last pick in the first round. They have a second next year and a first next year. So they really just said, it's not working out right now. They built a culture that they wanted to build, so be it. But it's really looking like they just decided, hey, this team just ain't it. So we just have to move on. If there's any time to gain a ton of picks right now, if any picks, if it's any time to build a lot of picks, add a lot of picks to your reservoir, it's now with the MML and the PLL merger. This could be huge. We'll see what happens. A lot of really good talent still in that MLL, and we'll see where it goes. If they didn't do it right the first time, I don't know what will make it go right the second time, but at least they kind of know where they went wrong. Moving on to the expansion draft, like I was talking. So it's the Cannons, new lacrosse club coming in from the MLL. It's a bit of a merger, I guess you could say. So there's 8 teams now, settles it out. I don't know. I don't know if they're still gonna just do one whole league or if they might split it 4 and 4, top 3 from each, bottom 2 or bottom 1, play each other for that first overall pick. We'll see what happens there. And the expansion draft, the Cannons get 18 picks, 3 from each team, and there's a good amount of talent out here. Specifically for attack, I didn't really look at the 3 picks from each team, but this is kind of my overall view as to who my 18 guys would be if I had to pick them. My attack, Zach Currier has to be on my team. Zach Currier, definitely an underrated player in general. I just don't think that he gets the starlight like he's allowed to. Um, if he was on the Water Dogs in the very beginning, like last year, I think that they probably would have had a better job being able to score goals early. They had a lot of trouble either in the first or second half, and I think that, oh my god, man, it's windy as heck out there. I don't know if y'all can hear that, but I think that he's gonna thrive well if he gets into this new environment as a number 1 or number 2. I think Miles Thompson coming in. We're all assuming that Lyle Thompson's going to add on that team as well. The Thompson brothers together could be lethal. Ryan Drenner, I think, is a good depth guy. Um, not super fantastic, but um, he's been around a little bit. He's a good player. He was one of the guys who, when I saw, I was like, oh, okay, like I could see him being out there. But if he's out there, I definitely want to grab him for my team. And a younger guy who might give you some headaches, but could definitely sell you some tickets, Matt Gaudette. He was not protected, even though he had a pretty good 2020 season. Let's take a quick look at at the rosters because I would really like to see who was that they picked over him. He started off really good, and then as time went on, he kind of lost it just a little bit. So the chaos, obviously you're keeping Justin Gutterding, obviously you're keeping Jesse King, and Jordan Wolfe. Jordan Wolfe and Justin Gutterding are 2 of the best attackmen in the entire league. Super underrated players in terms of the team not being super productive and them just not getting enough spotlight. So he kind of looked like he was the odd man out. You're keeping guys like Jordan McIntosh, Will Hoss, Ned Karate. You're keeping guys like Jesse Bernhardt, Joel White, Mike Manley, Connor Farrell, John Galloway. So you're keeping all those guys, obviously. And there's a couple dudes here and there who you're like, but Matt Gaudette just shortened the stick on that one. He's out there. I like him. I think that he's a good personality. I think that he's a good person to promote a team. I think he needs to learn how to respect his elders just a little bit more. But I think if he's out there, I'm taking him. So those are my 4 attackmen: Currier, Thompson, Drenner, and Gaudette. I think that's a decent start. In my midfield, the second I saw this, I was like, this guy's on my motherfucking team, man. Not even close. Connor Buszczyk, the fact that he got out, squeezed out, man. He's on my team like that. He might be my first fucking pick. Like, it's not even a fucking question. Um, I was really surprised when the Atlas let him go. I thought that he was a big part of what they do, but again, they're doing that full rebuild. I guess they weren't looking at the same things that I was looking at. Drew Adams from the Redwoods. I have a decent amount of guys from the Redwoods from this. I think the Redwoods have a good amount of guys that they let off in general from those midfielders. So Drew Adams is one of those. Class, I don't know, drummer class. He had a. I don't think he played in 2019. I think he was on a roster though. Played in 2020. Had decent numbers. I thought, fuck it. It's not super deep at midfield, particularly. So I was like, I thought I'd take a risk on him. Nick Ocello, good defensive midfielder. I think that that's always invaluable to have. Uh, Tyler Epp. He had a pretty good season last year. I thought that he stood out a lot more than people give him credit for. So he's adding on to my team too. Max Tuttle. Max Tuttle bounced around team. I think this is the third team, and I think that he's been doing enough through and through to be able to finally sit on a roster and play some decent minutes. And then my last one, I don't even know who this is to be honest. Dugan. I think he's a defensive midfielder. You just need a couple of those on the team. Defensive wise, good amount of guys, long stick and just LSM and close D. Troy Ray, definitely taking him. Chaos leaving him out there. That's a quick, easy pick. Reese Eddy, again, easy pick. I believe that was from the Water Dogs. No, I mean, not even a second thought. Brian Karalunas, he didn't play last year for the Water Dogs. He was from the Redwoods to the Water Dogs, and now I think he goes to the Boston Cannons, to the Cannons Lacrosse Club. He'd be a good LSM if you could have Ray Eddy and then potentially Brody Merrill for that 1 year culture build. I think that he's pretty valuable. He was left out there obviously due to age. We'll see if he even comes back. I know that he's an older guy, been pandemic. I'm sure he's got kids and whatnot. We'll see what he wants to do. And then finally we have Corley. I couldn't even tell you what his first name is, but he played a good amount of minutes. I can't remember what team it was, but he played a good amount of minutes, and he had a good amount of ground balls and caused turnovers in the 2020 season. I think that with those guys starting off, I think Corley would be a good depth guy to add. In goal, finally, man, finally, this this has me hyped, man. We can finally see Drew Adams take control in the fucking Atlas locker room, and we have Adam Gittleman going to the fucking Boston Cannons. They made up their mind. They said, we are sticking with Drew Adams, Adam Gittleman. It's time to move on from you. And I think that Adam Gittleman, he doesn't fucking start. I don't know what the fuck happens with that. Neither does Drew Adams technically. They split games, which I think is absolutely wild. So I think that they take Gittleman and Adams. They're both starting goaltender potential for sure. And then he finally takes the fucking reins of a locker room, man. And both guys deserve it. To be honest, both guys do deserve it. I do think that Drew Adams is better than Adam Gittleman. We'll see what Gittleman does, man. And I'm hyped to see both of them finally get a chance to do their own shit. And my final guy, someone who I didn't expect because he had a pretty good 2019 season and abysmal 2020 season. And I think that that's a small sample size, nothing too crazy. I think if it's good, it's a good sample. You look at it and you're like, all right, good. But if it's bad, you could have a bad 2 weeks, man, and all of a sudden there goes your entire 2020 season. Tom Kelly, man, was not protected. I think that's some bullshit, and I think that you would have to pick him up, man. There's no one else that's really out there. You could take Drew Simino, not bad. You could take Fowler from the Atlas, not bad. But they're no fucking Tom Kellys, man. They are no Tom Kellys. So to run over everybody who I'm taking, Zach Currier, Miles Thompson, Ryan Drenner, oh my god, Matt Gaudette, Connor Buszczyk at midfield, Drew Adams, Class, Ocello, Epp, Tuttle, Dugan. Defense, I think attack and defense are definitely the strongest. Um, I think you can get a good goaltender and face-off. So you got Ray, Eddie, Karolinus, Merrill, and Corley at defense. Gittleman for your goalie. TK for your face-off. I mean, even just with this roster, you might be better than that list, to be honest. Uh, your major concerns, in my opinion, is a star at attack, Lyle Thompson. He'll come in, so it'll be Thompson, Courier, and either a Drenner, Gaudette, or Thompson. I think that'll be good competition right there. You can even maybe bump one of them to midfield if you need to. You could rotate if you need to. You'll have depth there, and I think that's important. Your defense, I think that's a pretty sick lineup you got there. Troy Ray, um, Eddie Reese, or Reese Eddie, I'm sorry, Brody Merrill, Karolinus as your defensive midfielder. Your goaltender, Gittleman, I think it's definitely worth taking a shot on him. I'm not sure who's coming up in the MLL draft, but if you're just looking short term right now, who's in front of you, Adam Gittleman's that guy to take. And then your face-off, Tom Kelly, he's definitely worth the risk. Um, if you can build out your roster like this, um, if you want to take different midfielders, I think you could swap out. But the offseason or the entry draft and the college draft, I think for sure it's going to have to focus on midfield. That's who I would take. Who knows? I've been wrong many times before, and we'll see what happens, man. But it's just great to talk about fucking lacrosse again. I will not lie. Excited for the season, excited for the Redwoods, excited to see the new team. I mean, there's a lot to be excited about in the world of lacrosse. There's only one professional lacrosse league now when it comes to field lacrosse, the PLL. I'll be fucking sticking around to talk about all of it, and I just cannot fucking wait. Fuck yeah.